And U.S. President Joe Biden on Sunday signed a measure into law that boosts Social Security retirement payments to some retirees who draw public pensions, such as former police officers and firefighters. The Senate voted last month to approve the Social Security Fairness Act, which would repeal two-decade-old provisions that can reduce benefits for people who also receive a pension. The House of Representatives had approved it earlier. The law overturns a decades-old change to the popular retirement program that had been made to limit federal benefits to some higher-earning workers with pensions. Over time, growing number of employees, such as postal workers, also saw their payments capped. Speaking to reporters at the White House after Biden said he thought it was awful that President-elect Donald Trump was trying to do away with birthright citizenship.
And the idea we're going to change the constitutional birthright. If you're born in the country, you're not a citizen. What's going on, man?
Meanwhile, President Biden implored Americans not to forget the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol, saying the country has a collective obligation to remember the events of that day. Writing in an op-ed published on Sunday, President Biden said Americans should not let the history of what happened be rewritten or even erased.
We gather to certify the results of a free and fair presidential election and ensure a peaceful transfer of power. It's a day that most of our history we took for granted the 6th, but I hope we never take it for granted again. You know, 4 years ago, January 6th, this Capitol was attacked by a violent mob. Never forget them, they're guarding you. Give them the respect and support they deserve, but it's also due to the members of the House and Senate who, even in the face of these threats, in the threats of their life, courageously fulfill their duty to the Constitution.
And DD India's Shubhendu Ghosh joins us from Delhi for more on this. Well, Shubhendu, Biden urged to not let January 6th be rewritten. What are the highlights of Biden's one of the last speeches as a president?
That's right, Lipakshi. January 6th is an important date in American history. Particularly, I mean, historically, this is the date when the new president is formally certified by the House of Congress. But it's also important given what happened exactly about 4 years ago when the first of its kind insurrection took place at the Capitol Hill, when the result was being declared and Donald Trump did not get the result that he was looking for. Biden had won the election, and we saw the manner in which the violent mobs had attacked the Capitol and that tried to block the declaration of the name of the new president. So in that sense, we have to see that is the context in which we must look at President Biden's comments in both his op-ed as well as the address that he delivered to the reception of the new Democrat leaders who have been elected to the House. It's an important moment of transition. President Biden trying to juxtapose the manner in which his party, his administration is ensuring a very peaceful transition of power as opposed to what he was given when he had become president 4 years ago. So in that sense, trying to juxtapose the values of the two leaders and the two parties. He also called upon the new Democrat leaders to adhere to the values that the Constitution enshrines and glorifies, including values of peaceful transition that he particularly focused on. He also spoke about important role that America today presents in the larger geopolitics. He referenced to the Ukraine conflict as well. We know that incoming President-elect Donald Trump has a different view on these conflicts. He would want to take America out of these conflicts as soon as he can. President Biden's view was that America as a power represents far bigger than the country itself. But the values that it represents, it must try and uphold all over the world. So in that sense, one of his last messages really as president, trying to uphold the values he said he lived by throughout his political career.
Absolutely, Shubhendu. And also, as you said, an important moment of transition. Shubhendu, explain it for our viewers as to what does Social Security Fairness Act entail and who will it actually impact?
Right. So this is one of the final important legislations that President Biden has put his signatures to. We know in about a fortnight, new leadership, President-elect Donald Trump will take charge. Now, the Social Security expansion is an important legislation from the perspective of the manner in which America fashions itself as a capitalist economy of individual and organizational wealth creators. We don't often see America talking about a welfare state model where the state ensures that once you retire, the state takes care of you. In that sense, it's a landmark legislation in about 2 decades, is what President Biden says. It basically guarantees higher pension to a cross section of federal workers, from school teachers to firefighters to police officers and others who operate in various services for the people. The idea, President Biden's word again, is that people who devote their lives, their careers to the service of the American society, the government then must ensure that once they retire, their social security, their economic security is taken care of. So through this legislation, there is going to be a significant increase in the pensions that a cross-section of these federal workers will draw. At an average, about $360 per month is the increase that these federal workers would be receiving. If you look at the kind of cost it will mean for the exchequer, for the government, it will be about in the range of about $200 billion in the next 10 years. But it's seen as an important step forward, especially for the working class, for the middle class. And President Biden also tried to give his own example that he comes from a middle class, and the manner in which the American Constitution Society helped him rise up the ladder of power and success. He would want the rest of the middle class to also have those opportunities. So in that sense, a targeted benefit for the middle class of America.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shubhendu, for all those details.